बांस का सारा जंगल जब ले ठंडी हवा की सांस।
वाह क्या
बांस
बात
का
है।
सारा जंगल जब ले ठंडी हवा की सांस, लहरा जैसे कृष्ण का गूंजे, बंसी बने हर बांस।
Our guest today is someone who does not need any introduction, and he is Tabla Maestro Zakir Hussain. Welcome to our show, Zakir Saab.
Thank
And
you very much, Mr. Raji. What a pleasure to talk to you again.
excellent, sure. And we are eagerly waiting for your tour here in Boston, and we'll welcome you with we'll give you a very warm welcome here in Boston.
This has always been the case. Boston has been one of the favorite venues of mine to perform in, and I perform there regularly. It's because, first of all, it's a city of learning.
Sure,
There's so many universities and colleges and stuff, and there are so many of those institutions which have music
sure.
as a in their curriculum, including the Berkeley School of Music. I'm delighted that I get a chance to go there and play for a discerning audience, an audience that is.
And the Boston audience is also must be very different from other audiences everywhere else.
That's what I was about to say, that
Sure.
it's such a discerning audience, and when you sit down on the stage there to play, the feeling that you have as an artist sharing your information with them is that they are aware of
Yeah.
who you are, what you represent.
Now, before we talk about your this tour called TISRA, which includes, of course, you and Sabir Khan and Debopriya Chatterjee, Tabla Sarangi and Bansuri. What a wonderful combination! But
Yes, it's
before,
amazing.
but before that, I just wanted to get your opinion. What you think about getting all these awards left and right?
Oh my God. The whole point is that the awards are nothing but ashirvads and blessings
Mhm.
of your peers and your colleagues, and so they have to be taken in that context. And secondly, you just realize that you've just turned a corner. They have blessed you. They have let you know that you're on the right track, and then there's another hill to climb. It's not the pinnacle. It's one step up towards where you are hoping to be, and so if that is clearly in your head, that's important. And these awards coming, especially the three Grammys this year, uh, along with my colleagues like Shankar Mahadevan
Sure.
and Selva Ganesh Vinayakaram and Ganesh Rajgopalan, and also Rakesh Chaurasia, the nephew of Hari Prasad
Harif
Chaurasia.
Sachoras, yeah.
I mean, this is the first time there have been so many Indians who have collectively received so many Grammys. I got three, Rakesh got two, and the others got one each. So we brought about 8 or 9 Grammys to India. This is the most in a Grammy year, and so it was an amazing thing to be able to fly the Indian flag at the bastion of music in LA, vis-a-vis the Academy, and to see all these great musicians and composers and writers sitting in the audience there and applauding you. It was a, a kind of a rejuvenating serum that said, oh yeah, okay, now I can with renewed vigor move on forward and try to better myself and see if there's anything new there for me to offer to these great listeners.
So now let's stay with tabla, for example, here.
Hmm.
And when you look in the context of all these Grammy awards and all, uh, before you, yeah, tabla was okay, known in India, but outside hardly anybody knew. And you have really put tabla on the map, on the global
I
map.
beg to differ with you. I beg to
Okay,
differ with
okay,
you.
correct me, please, correct me.
Okay. One of the biggest coming out party for tabla
Hmm.
was in the 1960s at the Monterey Pop
Hmm.
Festival in California. where Pandit Ravi Shankarji and my father Usta Laraka played
Mm-hmm.
for thousands of people, and some of the greatest living artists of that time were sitting in the audience, like Jimi Hendrix and Janis Joplin and the Grateful Dead's Jerry Garcia and amazing artists who were very popular at that time. That's
Mm-hmm.
why it was called Monterey Pop Festival. And in
Mm-hmm.
walks Pandit Ravi Shankarji and my father Ustad Alaraka and sit down cross-legged on a riser
Mm-hmm.
and start playing a concert. And next thing you know, they were being applauded and loved and revered all over the place. One of the highlights of that performance was a 10-minute tabla solo recital of my dad,
Mm-hmm.
where Ravi Shankarji put his sitar down and just kept time with his hand while my father played. And so in the 60s, with both Raviji and my father interacting with great musicians of this world, whether it was Yehudi Menuhin or George Harrison and Burt Shank and so many others, Yusuf Lateef and whatnot, they were already forging ahead, creating awareness of and love of in the audiences of it, not only Indian music but of the instruments like sitar and tabla. So the platform was already set by people like my father, and in India, people like Pandit Kishan Maharaj and Pandit Samta Prasad ji of the Banaras Gharana, who were so famous and their performances were so looked forward to by the audiences that tabla for the audiences became just as important an instrument as a sitar or a sarod or a shenai. And so that being said, the platform was set for someone like me to bounce off and go forward. The hard work was done there by these great maestros, including Ustad Thirakwa Khan Sahab and so on. And I happen to be one of the first beneficiary of the hard work laid down by them. So I'm not the only one that said
No,
that. But you have to realize one other thing, if I may add.
sure.
It's a group effort. It's a
Mm-hmm.
team effort. There's no point in having one Ravi Shankar if there wouldn't be a Vilayat Khan and Nikhil Banerjee and Rais Khan and Aleem Jafar Khan, the great sitar players. The world realized that there's not just one great musician in India, but
Sure.
there are many. And similarly with tabla, I guess I'm the marquee name and the poster boy, but there is someone like Sapan Chaudhary ji or Anindo Chatterjee or Kumar Bose or Sabir Khan and so many other great tabla players who are my contemporaries and are just as great. And so when you see so many people playing this one instrument with such incredible energy and love and affection and talent, it has the ability to be able to establish itself as an instrument that is here to stay. And yes, you need a poster boy, somebody to carry the flag. That being me, I have to say that I cannot solely take the credit for it. There are some incredible players. I'm one of the good tabla players. I'm not the best. And then
Well,
so that's it.
Zakir Saab, I must say that, then we have a very great poster boy as tabla, because what you have done, that you have really made it a very popular at the very local level as well. If you go to any Indian music school in the United States, small town, big town, you go
Yeah.
and kids have lined up to learn tabla and playing tabla and all this stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
So that is happening, and
There are
and you
more
have
tabla students worldwide than any other instrument.
than other instrument. Yeah, exactly. I didn't know that, but I'm glad you mentioned that. I can
Yeah.
see it here. Now, let us come back to your the annual US tour. This time
Hmm.
it is called TISRA.
Yeah.
And so why it is TISRA, and tell us about more about this
Well,
tour.
first of all, it's a trio, so
Hmm.
the word Tisra harks to that. But at the
Okay.
same time, it also represents the Trinity.
Hmm.
Whether it's the Triveni, the Sangam, the meeting of three sacred rivers, or
Hmm.
Brahma, Vishnu, Maheshwar,
Hmm.
or Father, Son, and the Holy Ghost. I mean, you name it, whoever.
Sure.
But there seems to be this thing about Trinity or three that
Hmm.
exists in the world, which, of course, three is a prime number.
Hmm.
So there's all that. So I wanted to use that to bring attention to how different minds can come together and arrive at a junction where they meet and become one,
Hmm.
without any borders and fences and issues of loving something and not loving another thing and all that, and that just kind of fades away, and it's this one thought that stands out, and the positive thought that we all carry in this world is art and culture,
Hmm.
and so that thought being shared with the audiences as the TISRA, which is again a Triveni or a Sangam, coming together of different mindsets, and arriving out at the other end as one thought, and so that is why TISRA. And secondly, of course, these two incredibly fabulous young artists that I have the honor of presenting to the American audiences are Debopriya Chatterjee,
Hmm.
the young lady, is the senior, one of the senior students of Pandit Hari Prasad Chaurasia,
Hmm.
the great Bansuri Maestro, who I have had the honor of touring with for 30, 35 years, playing hundreds of concerts all over the world. And similarly, Sabir is the son of my colleague, the one who played supporting role with me, Sultan Khan,
Hmm.
the man who popularized Pia Basanti Re and
Hmm.
Albela Sajanaya sang, but also one of the greatest Sarangi maestro of our time. So, having played with those two, I am basically trying to reignite uh,
Hmm.
that energy, that experience that I had as a young man with those great senior musicians, with these young ones who are the flag bearers of their art form. And so to showcase them, Sultan Khan told me to take his son all over the world and present him to the audience. And Hari Prasad ji said the same thing about Debopriya. He said that Zakir, she's one of my favorite students. Please take her on the road and share her art with the audiences. And so all that coming together at the same time. And I'm just looking to reignite that old feeling that I had with Hariji or with Sultan Khan with these two young musicians, but in a way which is much more valid in today's time, because the young ones have a different way of looking at traditional art forms. And so the way they approach Indian classical music would be something that I'm interested to know, because that may have helped me to be able to repackage myself, reinvent myself, and find a new way to be able to join the conversation with them, which will make sense to the audiences of today.
So now, how this magic happens on the stage with you? In this case, Basuri and Sarangi, do you practice before or plan what we are going to do? It happened instantly on the stage.
Well, first of all, the history helps us. Me having played with each of their teachers for 30 odd years, there is enough understanding that I have of where they are coming from. And they have seen me with their teachers growing up as from little kids.
Hmm.
So they also understand how I interact with the music that they have learned. So there is some familiar ground there. But having said that, we are also looking to be able to find a more contemporary or a more modern take to what Indian classical music is. And from generation to generation, the vocabulary changes, the grammar improves, the telling becomes much more exciting. And so that's something that happens, and so that's the exciting part of having an interaction with these young musicians, because they have a world view of what the music is, and I expect to see that being showcased on the stage when we get, when we play together. And no, we don't have to really rehearse together, but we have chatted, we have interacted in terms of over a cup of tea or lunch, and kind of discussed how the flow of the show will be. And me being the senior member of the group, uh, getting a chance to be able to sort of guide the conversation in a way where we arrive at what we are going to do. And the basic idea is to be able to provide the audience a bird's eye view of various tastes of various styles of music that exist in India. And so we are going to ride a train,
Hmm.
and that train will be called, say Rag Behag.
Hmm.
And then somewhere along the line we'll get off and enjoy the vista points, and those vista points will be represented by other ragas and other rhythm cycles, but still connected to the main journey. And then once we've enjoyed that, and then sampled the wares of where we were, we get back on Rag Behag, the train, and carry on further, and find some other interesting things on the way. So this is the idea that we are going to bring on the stage, and giving the audiences different flavors of our country, and through various ragas and dhuns, and light classical and different rhythm changes. And in between there will also be a bit of a tabla solo, which I am hoping that I'd get a chance to share with the audience, play some traditional stuff that I've studied with my dad. And so it's going to be a seamless show, maybe 90 minutes or 100 minutes nonstop. No talking, nothing, just hoping that the audience will join us on this journey and enjoy the music and let the music speak for itself.
Sounds absolutely fantastic. Now I have two
Thank
more
you, sir.
questions and then I'll let you go. So the first question is, if you look at the tabla player, what do you think of Bansuri as an instrument?
Venu, Bansuri, here's a couplet that I will tell you, uh, um, that I read once,
Hmm.
and it's in Hindi, but you can translate it for
Yeah,
the
Hindi is
audience.
perfectly sure.
Yeah,
Yeah.
uh, बांस का सारा जंगल जब ले ठंडी हवा की सांस,
Wow, kya
बांस
baat
का
hai.
सारा जंगल जब ले ठंडी हवा की सांस, लहरा जैसे कृष्ण का गूंजे, बंसी बने हर बांस.
Kya baat hai. Fantastic. Very good.
So,
Yeah.
it's Lord Krishna's breath that has gone through all the bamboos, and have breathed in them life, which is represented through the sound of music, nada, and our traditional art form. So I think of flute to be something that's connected to our mythology, to divinity, and it's an instrument that is, at the core of our culture. And similarly, sarangi is like the other side of the coin, because I don't know if you've heard of an instrument called ravan hatta.
No, I
It,
have not heard of that.
yeah, it was a sarangi-like instrument way back, supposedly in the Vedic period, which was a favorite instrument of Lord Ravana,
Hmm.
and he played it. And that Ravan Hatta has, over the millenniums, come down and modified, and so on and so forth, and is now in the shape of the sarangi. And and
Now
and,
I have
and
to also ask you about tabla as well. I know, but we want
No,
to
no,
hear
no.
from
Tabla has very, very short history. It's
you.
one of the youngest entrants to the classical music field.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe 200, 250 years old. But the repertoire that the
Hmm.
tabla represents is 2,000 years old. It's a repertoire of the Pakawach, the repertoire of the language that was given as a boon by Lord Shiva to his son Lord Ganesha,
Hmm.
who formed the language of the through the rhythms, and transposed it onto his favorite instrument Pakawach, and then that's the repertoire that we rhythm players in North India play. So it also has a connection to way back when, but as an instrument, it's young. It's still finding its feet in the sense that the repertoire is basically Pakawaj, so it's being transposed, reorganized, chipped and chiseled to be able to fit for the tabla. And over the past 100 years, great masters have created new compositions to add to the repertoire, which are specifically for tabla. So that's happening, and hopefully it will keep happening in the future.
Very good. Now, my last question to you is, so this, talk a little bit about this annual tour in the United States. For how many years you have been doing, and what do you think you have accomplished with that?
My God, since I would say late 80s,
Mm-hmm.
1980s, we started doing the tours. It started off when my wife coined this thing about masters of percussion. And so it was basically me and my father and Ustad Sultan Khan, Sabir's father, doing tour because my father had just retired from traveling with Ravi Shankarji, and he was basically teaching in America. But but I wanted him to come here because I lived in America. I live in America, and to spend some time with him, tour with him, maybe keep learning with him. And the one way to do it was to bring him over and we play concerts. So we started doing that, and it became Masters of Percussion. And then at his behest, I started adding people. My brothers were added, and then my dear friend T.H. Vinayakaram Viku, who was in our band Shakti, was added, and so on and so on. And then I started thinking that there are so many incredible rhythm traditions that exist in India, which people in America or Europe do not get a chance to see. So then I made this a biannual tour and started bringing in rhythm maestros from various states and nook and crannies of India, and showcasing them to the audiences here. So that's what went on. And then in the last 10 years, I added this other element where Masters of Percussion would be a big biannual tour, but TISRA or Triveni would be a trio or a duo tour of purely classical music concert, melody and rhythm, which will play more for an intimate gathering, and share ragas and rhythm cycles and stuff with them in that manner. And that would allow me to revisit my old relationships with great masters and have that happen. So that's what's going on, and it has continued since the 80s. And it seems like it is one of the looked forward to series that takes place. And so every year I think, oh, maybe this would be the last one, but then there's more interest and people want, so then it happens. And this is also giving me a chance to be able to showcase young melody players of India, so people like Niladri Kumar or Rakesh Chaurasia and Sabir and Debopriya Chatterjee and so on and so forth. Kumaresh Ganesh, Jayanti and Kala Ramnath. And so I have presented many instrumentalists of India over the past 10 years, and I hope that I get a chance to showcase many more.
Absolutely. Zakir Saab, thank you so much for your time, and we are
My
looking
pleasure,
forward to welcome you
Obedra.
in Boston.
Okay, take care of yourself.